In the village of Ombo, there lived a hunter named Kofi. He stood as the most respected hunter. His feats in the wilderness were legendary, from trapping wild boars to bringing down the fiercest leopards that threatened the villagers. His reputation stretched far beyond the village borders, making him a figure of admiration and envy. Despite his status, Kofi was humble, focusing only on protecting his people and providing for his aging mother. However, beneath the surface of his success, Kofi longed for something more, an undefined emptiness gnawing at his soul. One evening, after a long day of hunting, Kofi wandered to the riverbank to rest. The calm of the flowing river soothed his mind, but just as he was about to leave, a soft voice called out his name. Startled, Kofi turned to see a woman, her beauty beyond anything he had ever seen. She stood by the water's edge, her skin glowing like the moonlight reflected on the river. "I am Dia, the spirit of the great river," she said with a smile. "Only a pure-hearted hunter can win my love, but many have tried and failed. Will you accept the challenge, Kofi?" Kofi was taken aback by Dia's words, his heart pounding in his chest. He had faced wild animals and rivals, but never had a challenge seemed as daunting as this. The spirit's beauty and aura mesmerized him, but it was her challenge that gripped his soul. "I will accept your challenge," Kofi said without hesitation. "But how can I prove my worth to you?" Dia's eyes sparkled as she stepped closer to him, the water rippling gently around her feet. "You must journey into the heart of the forest, where many dangers await. Your strength will not be enough. To win my love, you must show kindness, humility, and respect for the creatures of the land." With these words, she vanished into the water, leaving Kofi standing alone by the riverbank. The weight of the task ahead began to settle on his shoulders, but his determination to prove himself was unwavering. Kofi set out the next morning, armed not only with his spear and bow but also with the advice Dia had given him. He did not yet understand the full scope of the journey, but he was ready to begin. The dense forest loomed before Kofi like a living entity, its shadows long and foreboding. As he ventured deeper, the sounds of the village faded, replaced by the rustling of leaves and the occasional growl of hidden beasts. The first trial came sooner than he expected. A fierce lion emerged from the underbrush, its eyes locked onto Kofi. In any other circumstance, Kofi would have raised his spear and faced the lion head-on, but Dia's words echoed in his mind, "Strength alone would not win her love." Instead of attacking, Kofi lowered his spear and spoke softly to the lion. He knelt on the ground, showing no threat, and to his surprise, the lion's aggressive posture softened. It sniffed the air, then turned and walked away. Kofi realized that this journey was unlike any hunt he had experienced before. It required a different kind of courage, the courage to show restraint. As he moved further into the forest, Kofi understood that his encounters with nature would be tests not of strength, but of wisdom and humility. News of Kofi's quest to win the love of the river spirit spread quickly through the village. Not everyone was pleased. Kwame, another skilled hunter and longtime rival of Kofi, had always envied Kofi's success. Upon hearing of the spirit's challenge, Kwame saw it as an opportunity to outshine Kofi once and for all. "If Kofi can prove himself worthy of the river spirit's love, so can I," Kwame muttered to himself. Determined to sabotage Kofi's journey, Kwame set off into the forest, believing that brute strength and cunning would win the day. Meanwhile, Kofi continued his journey, unaware of the looming threat posed by his jealous rival. Kwame's approach was different. He hunted the animals in the forest aggressively, hoping to show the spirit his dominance. However, Where Kofi found peace and understanding with the creatures, Kwame encountered resistance. The animals fled from him, sensing his hostility. The more he fought the forest, the more the forest seemed to fight back. Kwame's journey would be harder than he anticipated, but his jealousy fueled his determination to defeat Kofi. As Kofi traveled deeper into the forest, he encountered a wounded gazelle caught in a hunter's trap. The animal's eyes were wide with fear, its legs trembling in pain. Kofi's instincts as a hunter urged him to take advantage of the situation. After all, it would make an easy meal. But he remembered Dia's words about kindness and respect for the land. Instead of killing the gazelle, Kofi carefully approached it and gently freed the animal from the trap. He tended to its wounds with herbs he had gathered earlier in his journey. The gazelle gazed at Kofi with gratitude before limping away into the forest. As it disappeared into the trees, Kofi felt a warmth in his chest. His heart was lighter, and the forest around him seemed to hum with approval. He realized that true strength lay not in taking life, but in preserving it. The spirits of the land were watching, and with every act of compassion, Kofi grew closer to proving his worth. Just as Kofi thought his journey was progressing smoothly, the sky darkened with ominous clouds. A fierce storm broke out, drenching the forest and turning the path ahead into a slippery, treacherous terrain. Lightning struck the trees, and the thunder echoed like the roar of angry spirits. Kofi struggled to find shelter, his clothes soaked and his body battered by the relentless wind and rain. The storm was more than a physical challenge, it was a test of endurance and faith. As the storm raged on, Kofi found a small cave where he could take refuge. Inside, he built a small fire and reflected on his journey so far. He thought of Dia's challenge and the trials he had faced. The storm was a reminder that nature could be unforgiving, but he had to respect it, just as he respected the animals and the land. Kofi resolved to continue his journey with even greater humility, knowing that each trial brought him closer to understanding the true meaning of love. While Kofi took shelter from the storm, Kwame continued to push forward, his determination turning into desperation. The storm had left him soaked and weary, but his pride kept him going. Unlike Kofi, Kwame refused to see the forest and its dangers as anything other than obstacles to be conquered. His arrogance blinded him to the lessons the journey was meant to teach. One night, after a long day of hunting with little success, Kwame came across a powerful, magical artifact hidden deep within the forest, a glowing stone that promised immense strength to whoever possessed it. Convinced that this was the key to defeating Kofi and winning the love of the river spirit, Kwame took the stone and felt its power surge through him. But the artifact was cursed, and as Kwame relied more on its dark magic, the forest grew colder and more hostile toward him. Unbeknownst to him, his heart was being consumed by greed and envy, and his chances of winning Dia's love slipped further away with every step he took.